Welcome to the Event Marketing Sevinar, a 7-minute webinar brought to you by Snöball. In this Sevinar series, you get the tip of the iceberg on pre to post-event marketing, practical advice shared to you by event marketers for event marketers. Here's your host, Rachel Stephan.
Welcome everybody for another episode of Snöball Seminar. I'm here today with Skeith, CEO and MD of UFI, and we're here to talk today about Global Exhibition Day and the advocacy campaign we've done with UFI. Thank you for joining me, Chris.
Thank you, Rachel. It's great to be here, and it's also great to have that opportunity to sit back and reflect on some of the products and services that we do over the years, and GED is definitely a big deal for us.
It's activated and rallies voices from all over the world, all the way from Lagos to London and everywhere. So where do you see peer-to-peer energy show up most powerfully, and how do cultural nuances shape how people share and advocate for our industry?
So it's in its 10th year, and Pere, who looks after our advocacy, works with our associations committee and other parts of the community. So it isn't owned just by UFI. We manage it on behalf of the community. And what we found in recent years is that group have come up with some really good narratives about unleashing potential. So we come up with a theme, which is great. And then we sort of almost trying to create a bit of a media whiteout where people show how proud they are to be part of our wonderful industry. But to manage that campaign globally is really tricky. So there's a heavy lifting getting the content together, but then being able to use sort of Snöball's platform with the various different tags and everything enables us to share that content really widely. It enables people to hook into those messaging really simply. Also from a UFI perspective, when we present back to our multiple stakeholders across the event space, we're able to really monitor the reach, which historically was, oh my God, that just took ages, just trying to look back and try and map in different accounts, look at see what click-throughs we've had, what links we had. So the as well as cascading the content that we've created for everybody as one thing, but actually being able to sort of track it on the other side has also been really, really helpful. And it enables us to sort of try and focus more about encouraging people to take part and then also showcase back to people the impact we had. GED is the first Wednesday of each June, and it's great that we sort of talk amongst ourselves about what a great career choice we've made and how wonderful our industry is and everything. We being able to do it more efficiently and also demonstrate the reach easily has given us a bit more headroom as a business to focus on trying to get more advocacy depth. So going forward, we're going to really be looking at talking to new audiences, talking to supportive governments and ministers and embassies and other entities that really need to know more about how exhibitions can play a massive part in terms of driving the economies of the industries that the events serve, but also the impact that it has in terms of bringing these rich business tourists, and I mean rich in terms of knowledge, as well as spend, into their different regions so they can be known for key markets, and then we can also really drive activity around the exhibition and conference centres that host all the different kind of events. So as well as us talking to ourselves about and patting ourselves on the back about what a great career choice we've made, it's also using GED to activate governments and officials and educate them about the power of live events and why it makes a massive difference to industries and economies.
That's super interesting, especially, yes, it's the voice of the person, but it's also like the collective voices of the different organizations that will also kind of make a bigger impact, not only within our own circles, but to the outside world that are not maybe familiar of events and the impact that they bring to it. And you see it there in the background, but there's so much that goes on with it other than, the economic impact, but there's also all the different innovations, all the different research, gathering all these people that are coming together for these events. They're actually having an impact on our social lives, on any discoveries or anything that are happening, because research are coming together, engineers are coming together, all these people are coming together to further many different areas of our lives. So it's super, super important to do that. And it's interesting. I'd love to hear, like, if you've seen or noticed any specific nuances. Yes, it's global. It's shared different experiences around the globe. Is there any region that stands out more than the other one, or you see them more mobilized or more, keen to advocate more than others?
That's really tricky. You're asking me to pick my favorite child, which I couldn't do. I think there's different trends, but I think everybody does it in their own way. You know, some bits it's about driving learning, some bits about driving legacy, some people about driving community, some people it's about driving connections. I always say I chose to work in exhibitions. I chose this as a career path. And a lot of people say they fell into the industry by accident, but when I found it, I was all in, and I've been blessed by having a wonderful career, seeing wonderful places, meeting amazing people, and something like GED for me really makes me want to shout from the rooftops about what a brilliant choice I've made, what opportunities I've had, and if the reach that I get, touches some other people to spike an interest to get involved, that's great.
I think that's something that specific that the team wanted part of the campaign, is that allowing that person to actually input their own part of it in what they were sharing in the campaign. So it wasn't just like, hey, I'm celebrating GED, but it's more like, what does it mean to you? Like the unleashing the opportunities, the big behind the theme. So they add their own personal touch to it. So it made it more their own, and then shout it out to the rest of the world, and then giving them the different options that they get to share it. We offer them 17 different social channels and let them pick regionally which ones are going to be used specifically in Asia or Middle East or North America and all that.
And that's sort of fascinating as well, isn't it? Because from a organizer's perspective, you deem UFI as the organizer. You then we can maybe take those learnings to lift things for the future, or appreciate there are different channels. I'm aware of. Everybody's marketing budgets are limited. Everybody needs to know where they're going to get the biggest bang for their buck and where to spend, and leading into some kind of benchmarks like that could be sort of super helpful, certainly to help us grow GED next year.
Absolutely. It will help identify maybe there's needs a little bit more extra care in certain areas to kind of lift up a little bit more the impact there. But also in some cases, what it could do is validate, because you mentioned like digital ads and implications, and in terms of the mark on what you're doing, in some cases it comes to validate, okay, well, we see that maybe Facebook or Insta or LinkedIn is being used a lot and our ads are being spent there. So it's like, yes, kudos, it's great. But in some cases where we've seen it that clients identified some channels that are used by that community a lot, but they weren't part of their marketing mix. So it's a way to kind of also validate where should we invest our time or like budget also more into the digital ads for that specifically. Last question I would ask you here, like, we mentioned organizers. Who are organizers? I mean, yes, GED is one global advocacy day, but we also do a lot of different events, regional events and everything. So if you were an organizer listening to this, what's one thing you want them to learn from an advocacy campaign? What tip can you give them to apply for their own peer-to-peer marketing strategy?
I think keeping it really clear and really simple on the message. I mean, we all do so much within our businesses, but for GED, it was really simple this year. It was exhibitions unleash potential. And then it's a simple message, but that people can extract for them what that means, whether it's the potential for learning or the potential for trade or the potential for connecting with suppliers. So I think whatever your campaign, it has to sort of resonate with your audience. And also be really simple, because if it jarred with people, they wouldn't engage in it going forward. So whatever it is you're thinking of doing, or whatever campaign or whatever event, it's really clear to have that sort of message. And similarly we have our global congress coming up in November in Hong Kong, and we're welcoming people from over the world. But the theme for the whole event, from our board meetings to our networking sessions to our speed dating to our gala dinner to our offstage content to our main stage content, it all revolves around the theme of shaping the future. But everything that everybody does for the whole of that, essentially a week, is shaping the future. So again, keeping the message super clear, whatever it is you're doing, and then making it really easy for your customers to engage in their activations, their social posts or whatever, I think is a good recipe for success.
Awesome. I'm a big fan of theming and coming up with a core message and a theme around something, and because everything falls together, whether from the communication part of it to the experience on-site part of it, it rallies people to have a common theme, but be adaptable enough that they can shape it and they make it their own as well, and then add on to it. So great tip. Look forward to the Hong Kong also Congress as well. So we'll see how that shape up. thank you so much, Chris, for joining me here today, and appreciate your feedback and your insight. And we'll see you in Hong Kong.
And it's a pleasure to talk to you, and to say thanks to you and your team's support. It's been really made my team's life a lot easier, and we're certainly seeing some measurable impacts on everything we're doing. So thank you, Rachel. Really appreciate it.